Hey everyone, it's Tanya Brewington, and I want to talk about another experience with moms, which could be considered having a challenging mom, or even could be considered something that challenging moms would do with you, or might have done with you when you were growing up. For those of you who don't know me well, you may or may not know that I in 2013 I actually lost my daughter. She was a newborn child, and I was a little bit of an older mom because I was so hesitant about having children because of my experience with my mom. Now, I had what I consider a challenging relationship with my mom as I was growing up. And it was the catalyst really for me to begin the process of talking about people who have difficult and challenging and even toxic relationships with their moms and how to actually navigate their way through it. Now, if you've listened to some of the other videos that I've talked about, you know that this idea really crystallized for me when I started working with women who had experienced sexual assault or sexual abuse as children. And the thing that really always stood out for them was the fact that their moms, they were always concerned that their mothers didn't protect them. And that was like a cry. It really was something that was painful for almost everyone that I wound up working with and facilitating these workshops with. But neither here nor there, it became the reason that I was hesitant and very reluctant to have children because I wasn't sure whether or not this issue that I perceived that I was having with my mother, whether I would carry it on to my children, particularly if I had a daughter. And I was always concerned that if I had children, I did not want to have a girl because for whatever reason, I noticed the friction that was there between my mother with me. And so that was always the reason I was so ambivalent about having children as I was growing up, even into adulthood. And it was like I felt like I could not have children and do it right until I figured out what was going on in this whole relationship thing with mom. And until I could figure out a way to make sure that I wouldn't pass this thing on to my child, in particular my daughter, if I had a girl. Because like I said, I was hoping and praying I had boys because I didn't know what this mother-daughter thing was, and it just seemed very disruptive for me. It felt disruptive for me. I know how it felt for me, so I know that I didn't want to pass that on to someone else. Now, long story short, that was 2013. I finally was like, yes, I can do this. I think I've gotten it. I'm okay with what's going on. I had a daughter. She was born, and within hours, within about 10 and a half hours, she passed away. So even though I had my child and I wanted her, it just didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work. So here we are, fast forward 10 years later. And last year, I became guardians of two 8-year-old girls. So they're twins, and I became their guardian because the option was for them to go to foster care. And I was like, nah, because they're family. I was like, no, I'll take them, I'll keep them, and we'll go from there. So since the girls have been with me, a lot of things have happened. I've had to change some things that I've been doing because I've been solo for so long. And the girls had to adjust to living with me as well. But in the process of adjusting, what they began to know, they knew, they know that they know that they know, is that I am a consistent, stable figure for them. They know that I look out for their well-being. They know that I have boundaries. You know, it's like I tell them there's a way that you can live. This is the boundaries that you have. You can stay in the center, we have no issues. But when you get close to the walls of those boundaries, then we're going to have a problem. And if you get past them, then we'll have a really serious, significant issue. And I'm consistent with that. And so they know that when discipline comes, however discipline happens, it's not because I'm just randomly going after them. It's because you've gotten outside of these boundaries that I've set for you. And I want you to understand that there's a problem if you do that. And so what I'm doing is kind of shepherding them and kind of keeping them within this framework and this structure. Those are the two words I was coming together. This structure, this framework that I've set up, that I've established, so that they can actually get out of their experience with me what will be most beneficial for them. And that's my whole thing. I want that while they're living with me, which who knows how long this is going to be. It might be a couple years. It might be until they're adults. And I'm okay either way. But the point is, I want them to understand that they're loved, that they're taken care of, that they have what they need, and that whatever's going on with them, because they've had some experiences that we have to sit down and we have to talk about it and kind of come to a place where I can get them to the point where they're calm again. They're calm about what they've gone through. I give them the space to talk it out. Well, I have people who were around the children before they came to me, and I have people who now are around them sometimes since they've been with me. And what's interesting to me is the notion that these people will tell me, "Oh, you have these girls rotten. They're so spoiled. They're just so spoiled." And I have to ask, and I ask the question often, what do you mean by spoiled? I mean, because to me, I'm not overindulgent. And if you ask me, I don't consider myself very indulgent at all. I mean, there are things that we do. We go have fun. We go, they want something. I'm like, we have to weigh it out, and then we can go do certain things. We don't do everything. There are things that they want, and I tell them flat out, no, that's not, that just doesn't work with what's going on in my household. But the reality is, what I think happens for them is that they have accepted that they're with a family, they're with me, but this is our family, and they're stable. They know they're going to be here with me for as long as it takes, whatever that means, because I'm probably the fifth house they've lived in, and I'm talking about 8-year-old kids, the fifth house they've lived in. And so what they're noticing is that you're going to be here, and that's what they know with me. So what I know about children and what I remember seeing with people that I knew when I was growing up was a level of confidence that comes when you know that you're loved, when you know that your needs are taken care of, when you know that someone is there who is concerned about you and wants the very best for you. Not only do they want those things, not only do they love you, they care about you, but they let you know it. They let you know that they value who you are. They value what you think. They value what you have to say. They value the fact that you're there, your presence. And they actually look forward to seeing you, And I can remember growing up not feeling very valued, even with my mother. I can remember my mother telling me when I was a baby that she and my aunt were, my aunt kept saying, "Well, she's in there crying. Why don't you get her?" And my mother was like, "Well, she's been fed. She's dry. I don't know what else she needs." She didn't see that there was a need for nurturing. There was a need for holding. There's a need for the touch. There's a need for that kind of care, because that's what lets you know that someone loves you, especially when the touch is a loving, concerning touch, not one that's about abuse, not one that's about trying to make you feel bad, but more about, it's a hug. It's a, let me rub your head or whatever. There are ways that you can express your love and care by a simple touch, by holding someone's hand, by rubbing their head, by, just by the way you look at them even. And I knew that I was missing that when I was growing up. And so I didn't have that level of confidence that no matter what would happen, my mother had my back. That no matter what was going on in the world, that I was always going to be taken care of, that she was going to know and value who I was, right? And so as I'm talking to these people who are telling me about how I am spoiling these girls, my mind is saying to myself, I don't consider it spoiling. I know that I love them. I know that they love me, and I know that they know that I love them. They know that I'm looking out for their best interest. They know that I care about them. They know that I'm working with the schools to make sure they get everything they need. They know that we're sitting down doing homework every night when they come home from school. They know that on the weekends we go out and we do our thing, whatever that thing may be. And so there are things about our lives that they are confident in right now, and it shows up in how they are expressing themselves right now, because they weren't always these confident children. And so when people are telling me, "You're just spoiling them. Oh, they're just so spoiled," And I'm like, well, what did they do? That makes you think they're spoiled, because they're not like that. They're not like, when I think of spoiling someone, I think about children who have been given everything they want just because they ask for it, they get it without thinking about it. But it doesn't mean that the person giving it really values that child. It just means they're just going to give you whatever you want. That's what I think about when I think about someone who's spoiled. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you that that's not happening with these children. That's not what I'm doing with them. And so it made me really reflect on the fact that sometimes in some families, the notion that you could be loving towards a child, giving them what they need, meeting the needs that they have, those needs for love, for care, for knowing that they're valued, knowing that that their presence is meaningful to you, is considered a form of spoiling and not considered a form of love. That blows my mind, you know? And I can tell you that because I am a more mature mom at this stage, of course, those things don't affect me as much as they could have. Perhaps they wouldn't rattle me now as they might have if I was a younger person. But I think about the fact that for some people, we didn't get what we needed, not because the mom couldn't have given it, but because they felt that to do that, to give that kind of love and care, would be a form of spoiling, as opposed to a form of loving and letting us know that we were deeply loved, we were cared for, we were valued in our own homes. And I think that when you are a person who's had a challenging relationship with your mom, if you had received even a little bit of that kind of care and concern, it's possible that you wouldn't have looked for it out externally as much as you might have if you were always looking and searching for love, you know? And so that's something that just came up for me. It's something that I found very interesting. And I just think about how many of us, and perhaps even people who are talking about you're spoiling them, even they might have missed out on that whole notion of loving and what loving can be from a mom, because the thought is if you were that loving towards your children, they would be spoiled. So my question is, what did you receive? Did you get the loving and you knew that it was love, or did you feel that people felt that they couldn't love you, they couldn't express this love to you because it would be seen or perceived as spoiling to you, that you would have felt like you were so valuable that, that what? I don't even understand that, because I know that to go into this world as we are, it is so important that your foundation is so strong, because we need it in order to be able to withstand all the things that are coming at us from the external world. So anyway, if this is your experience, if you understand what I'm talking about when I say the difference between feeling loved and feeling spoiled, and did you not get the love that you needed because someone thought that if they loved you and they really, really showed you that love, that they would be spoiling you? What was that experience like for you? And how did you know that that's not what you were getting? You weren't getting the love that you really and truly needed. All right, this is Tanya Brewington. I'm going to sign off, but I'll be here again. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you come back again for the next video. Bye for now.